thing about photography that I've learned is that it's better to be self-taught than to actually be taught, because you learn so much more through your own mistakes. When I learn something, it's either through a mistake or a success. So I learned every time that I have a success, I stop and I think and say, well, I did this right and I did that wrong, but I did that right. So I ended up with a good image. I've been making my own cameras for the last 2 to 2.5 years. And I found it after I realized that I didn't have enough money to buy a DSLR camera. And I mean, eventually I did get a DSLR, and I ended up not necessarily liking it the best. But I did end up finding out that I can make my own cameras. And so when I make my own cameras, I make them as cheap as possible and as breakable as possible, because I know at some point I'm going to have to throw them away. So every camera has a different personality, and it comes up with a different image. So I don't necessarily use the same camera twice. Sometimes I'll build a specific camera for a specific shot. I have a thing about digital photography and film photography. In my head, they're in a little bit of a civil war. They're not necessarily equals in my mind. I think that film photography and pinhole photography is a very pure form. Digital is something where you can alter it in any way that you want, and so that makes it something that is, the opposite of pure. I would have to say that my style is sort of something that is very unique to me, and I'm very proud of that. But I wouldn't say that it's something that other people haven't done in the past. It's sort of a mashup of sort of, if you took the black and white of Ansel Adams and a few other photographers like Barbara S., and she does pinhole photography as well, and you mix them together, that's kind of what I do. My future in photography, I see it in my high school career, is really starting to go into kind of deeper into alternative photography. And so that is the 18th century processes of tintype and daguerreotype and wet plate photography. And so each of those processes are very, very expensive. So that's the hard part, is so I have to save some money to do them. So that's probably mostly going to take up 4 years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.